Welcome, everybody, to this week's show. I am your host, Russell Gibson. Adam Amy is on a well deserved holiday and break. This is the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. And this week, we're going to be doing a not timeless moments. Now, my aim of today's show is to do 10 minutes of card content. I've set my alarm, it is now ticking. We're going to break down basically the NBA Finals. So we're going to do an SGA watch. We're going to check in on Halliburton. Unfortunately, he's injured his hamstring. Hamstring or calf? Anyway, we'll check in on that injury. We'll break down Game 5. We'll break down Game 6. Then we're going to end the podcast type feed and we're going to rip some packs live. Hopefully do some question and answers with some people that come on in. So guys, welcome everybody to the feed. Thank you so much for checking in. So I think the first thing that we should do today is talk a little bit of SGA. I think he is absolutely the man of the moment. I think if you are looking at hobby values and hobby prices, he is absolutely spiking hard at the moment. So we're currently looking at the Purple Ice PSA 10, numbered to 149 on this. This is a bit of an interesting one for me, just for the fact that, it's somewhat of a, if you want to use the word niche, or if you would like to use the word, it's not the preferred card that you would normally be, chasing down. I think for me, the benefits of a card like this, a purple cracked ice, is that often you can get a little bit more affordability onto it. So what I mean by that is, I think for your value for money, it's just a lot better than, for example, comparing it to a silver. And so I think cards like this are really good to look at when, you can't afford to, say, get a silver card. You can't maybe afford to get a lower numbered card. Or maybe, like, if I'm being perfectly honest, something is a little bit less aesthetically pleasing. I think for me, this is where, like, the purples, the greens, the funny colored light blue come in, the cracked ice light blue. That's another really good example of this too. Just cards become a little bit more affordable. So, this to me is, where I think cards is interesting because there's always a price point for somebody. And I'm always, really happy looking at this. So, for example, for me, I would say my bigger valued Luka cards are probably those ones that are not the more popularized ones. So, the one that I've got that comes to mind straight away, I've got it's called the Ruby. So, I picked up one of those, the Ruby Wave. And so, I think that's a really good buy. So, for example, here, this is classic for Shea, isn't it? $500 buy-in, then you're on the Shea hobby train. That to me is very affordable. Really interesting on that. So, if you're looking at this, direct numbers, this really hasn't seen the fluctuation that other cards have experienced in that sort of SGA like window has it there. Yeah, so that's a perfect example of, why that I find these cards, really important for the hobby. I think let's just go back to the purple though. So there's one more thing I want to really quickly touch on that. So with the purple, so that's numbered to 149. Population on the PSA 10 is 25. Let's look at the PSA 9 because again, this is like for me where the affordability part comes into it. Population of that is 72. So look, I'm no numbers guy, but 97 of these have been sent to PSA out of the 149. Look, I'm a little bit skeptical on that just for the fact so 142 of the 145 have been sent, 149 have been sent off. So this episode hasn't come out yet chronologically. However, it will come out very shortly. We actually interviewed Comron from GTI, and he was talking about some of the issues that PSA experiences. And, one of the things he talks about is, or his belief was that they deliberately will give out nines or less than 10 so that people will crack and then resub them again. So for me, that just screams of that. Like, I find it very difficult to believe that 142 out of the 149 have been pulled out of products. Like, to me, that just doesn't make sense. For me, there has to be some like absolute resubs here. So I wonder if the true population of this card, in terms of them being graded, maybe it's like closer to 100 by the time you take into account there for the regrades. Anyway, back to what I was talking about with the PSA 9. Look, the buy-in here is still tricky, isn't it? We're still looking over $1,000. But I think if you're comparing that to the silver, For a second, I was like, wow, the silver 10. So that's currently trading at 900. Yeah, so look, so basically to get a numbered card, you're actually going to have to go up a little bit on a silver, but then you're getting the security on the numbers there. So when I say security, what I'm meaning by that is it's insulates you from this high population spike that we're currently seeing here with the silver, which is the population on the 10 is currently 693. Right, I think what we should do now is actually zoom in on this and have a really, really good look on it. So in the last 12 months, he's up a lot. He's up 70%. The last 6 months, he's up 24%. Now, this is to me where it gets really interesting. All right, so now he's down 24%. Now, we've spoken about this on the show previous times. What we spoke about was Jason Tatum. So we said, oh, this is crazy. He's gone into the NBA Finals and he's actually gone down, where maybe you're expecting him to go up. So I absolutely would have expected Shai to be going up more, but he had such an exponential spike. I'm actually not surprised about this at all. And look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was seeing into the future on this, because I didn't. I completely missed all of this SGA stuff. Like, I was entirely, I was really conservative on him, and when he kept on going up and up, I was just like, where is this going to go? And so this for me is almost a little bit ironic, because I've actually almost like turned the door on this a little bit, and then actually I'm kind of like, maybe this is a guy to start buying into. Now he's actually dipping down a little bit. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just not shocked. Like, he was up so much. And then I do think actually people use the NBA Finals as an exit. So people aren't using the NBA Finals to mark this as to get into somebody. They're like, right, I'm predicting this guy's going to get to the NBA Finals. There's going to be lots of buzz on this. Now is a good time to unload and list these cards. But I think the problem is a lot of people have that same idea. So in the last month, he's down 22%. Real dollar change is $270. I do think, though, the 3 month is probably for me the more relevant one, because I think that gives you a better idea of, really what's happened in this playoff period. He's down nearly 25% at a dollar change of 300. Alrighty, so let's just do a little bit of a breakdown of Game 5. I thought Game 5 was actually a really good game of basketball, and probably at the end of the day, I'm going to summarize this into 2 lines. The Pacers offense broke down in the fourth quarter. They just had too much isolation with Hallie, and they just couldn't generate enough points consistently. And then there was a period in the fourth quarter where SGA hit 5 points in a row, and that really just deflated the Pacers team. And then that was it. It was all over. So, really, really tough game, I think, for the Pacers in that sense. I think we should look at Halliburton's injury. ESPN is reporting he has got a calf strain. He'll have an MRI, so that basically will rule him out for the rest of the finals. Look, maybe he comes back if there's a game 7 or something like that, and they do something miraculous to him, but I can't see him coming back this NBA Finals just after reading that. If I can walk, then I want to play. I don't reckon they're going to roll him out. Like, can you guys see that? Honestly, I think that's such a tricky one. The problem with calves and strains is that they can then become tears and, significantly worse than what they were. And I think the other thing for me too is that I think teams put in so much preparation preparing for one particular player that when they actually do get a lineup change, actually that might throw the Thunder off a little bit. I think the question then becomes is like, how much of the load can Ben Shepherd take? Can Mathurin step up again and, put that massive output like he had the other day? Look, that's a really, really tricky one, isn't it? Alrighty, so let's move on. Let's talk about Tyrese Halliburton. So I think before I even look at his numbers, he is the ultimate up and down guy. I'm going to say that he is going to be down. Let's see how much down he actually is, because with the finals coming around now, an injury, Halliburton, I actually think, is someone that you should be investing into. And the reason I say you should be investing into him is because I think he's a B plus to A prospect. And I also think too he's incredibly volatile. So you can literally just play the game of, jumping on and off him. Alrighty, that's the 10 minutes up. So I'll finish up this segment, do one more really quick segment, and then we'll end this podcast. So Silver PSA 10 is currently trading at a very reasonable $320. I actually think that is totally fine. The last 3 months, he is plus 82%. So let's just zoom out a little bit more to give us a bit more of a better understanding. At 1 year, he's minus 1%. Now, at 1 month, he's minus 20% for a real dollar change of 85, which is not unexpected by any means at all. Again, I think people using the NBA Finals as a target when to sell. Now, the PSA 9, I wanted to talk about this very deliberately because, if we're talking about affordability with cards, I know that people think PSA 9 is like the ugly sister of cards, but again, I think if you're buying the right card, the right player and the right card, almost no matter what the grade is, I still think there is, margin to be made, or it's still the right card to be purchased. I think the key with this card though is buying at the right time. So ironically, his Silver 9 is up 57% in 1 month, which is a little bit of a surprise for me. I think let's just go back and have a look at the all-time data on this, because I think this is probably the most significant. So basically the maximum was around that $75 mark and the minimum was around $30. Yeah. So I think the right price to be purchasing one of these is about at the $50 mark. Now, I think going into the off season, it's nearly back at $50 again. You might pick up one of these for $40 to $45. And that's pretty much it. Look, game 6, for me, there wasn't really much chop there at all. I think the problem that the Pacers had at the end of the day was just that for every game that I was anticipating that maybe 1 or 2 games in the series that the Pacers would get 140, 135 points. I think this was just a really good defensive example by the Thunder. And really, it's as simple as that. Just nothing more to be said about that at all. All right, we're going to finish today's show on a card which I think is a really good one to talk about for a couple of reasons. This is from The Real Guy on Instagram, and he has compiled here some really good sales of Steph Curry. Now, I think that the aftermarket, or let's say the unlicensed market for tops, has been very mild. I think that's the best way to say it. I think what we probably can talk about with these cards here is this is a little bit of a loophole, or maybe where some cards have fallen through the system. So what we're looking at now is the Topps Now Olympics cards. Whilst they're not licensed NBA cards, the artwork on them is pretty good. I think someone like Tyson Beck probably could have done a better job of this again, but at the same time, I think they're aesthetically pleasing. I don't think there's any problem with the design. It's relatively clean. I think they've done a good job of isolating the athlete in the middle of the card. All of that all looks good. In addition to that, the on-card autograph and the one-of-one factor here is just amazing. I think for me that what really stands out here is the price differential between these two cards. So you've got the celebratory card selling for 80,000, and we've got the night card selling for nearly 520,000 520k, not 500,000k. So yeah, I think, for me, the real reason for that is at the end of the day is just what he's doing in that moment. And, the Panini equivalent of this is the Timeless Moments card, isn't it? Which is what this segment is basically named after. I do think, though, if you're looking back at this in terms of, the data on the sales, you've got to say that there's a lot of room to move on that $79,000 card. And probably my suspicions is if you now put that card up for sale after we've seen the $518,000 sale, you're not going to get a price match, but you might even double your money in a very, very short period of time. So I think in terms of collectability, the Celebration card is an absolute home run. Whereas for me, look, obviously that's an amazing card, but is it worth 518k? Look, for me, the jury is absolutely still out on that. And I would probably suspect if you needed to make a rush sale on that, you're going to be, losing a bit of money there. Alrighty, guys, I think for today's show, we're going to finish this off right here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's show. Our next episode, which is going to be going live on Sunday, is going to be an interview with Comron from GTI. And then the following week, Adam will be back from his very well-deserved rest. If you're in the YouTube feed, stick around. We're going to rip some packs, and then we're going to do some FC25 action too. Alrighty, we are back, and we're going to do some pack rips. Hopefully, we'll get some peeps into the chat. And I just need to work out how I can actually chat with you guys. Because looking at the YouTube platform, I don't know where the comments come up. Oof, that feed looks absolutely delicious. Yeah, for some reason the chat is disabled. And I don't know how to fix this. Alright. Oh, because it says it's made for kids. Ah, right, okay. Fixed. Right, here we go. Chat is on. Great. Okay, cool. So, I am going to put in a promo code to my break page. Hey, Ben, how you doing? How you doing, Ad? I just did a not timeless moments, and I was gonna do a couple of pack rips, and then I was gonna do some FC25 just to keep the content coming a bit. Oh man, I am jealous. I am absolutely jealous. Look, thoughts on the playoffs. I have very much enjoyed this series. I wish that there had been less injuries this year, and I think it would have been a very, very different outcome. Like, I would have wished the Bucks had been there. I wish that the Celtics were there. But at the same time, we've got the Thunder, we've got the Pacers. So, you know, like, that's not the worst thing, right? And I don't mind the Pacers, but at the same time, they were a Cinderella story, right? And so I think that it's all just caught up with them now. And so, yeah, it's just, I think this last game is going to be really tough. I think it's going to be, it could be, I don't want to say a blowout, but I think it could be ugly. I think no Halliburton on that team against the Thunder, who was just, they're just a good team, man. They're just good. And defensively, I mean, without Halliburton, he's absolutely, like, no conversation, right? Oh god, this is so much better. Hey, were you in the live before and the comments were off? Alrighty, cool. Alrighty, wish me luck, guys. I believe I get one autograph per box. I've been planning to do a packet a day and just do like a short video, but I think considering, yeah, it was off because apparently it was set as like fit for kids, and I changed the settings in the main thing, but I think you have to change it for every video. That's fine. I'll know for next time. Alrighty, Kone, wish me luck, guys. Stefan, I got a bit of color coming up, and I've got a gold. Numbered to 350. God, that's the worst cock tease ever. That should be numbered to 10. How's your holiday been, man? What have you been up to? I hope you've got your money's worth out of your all you can drink. That's all I can say. Alrighty, that's not bad. Nice little silver Haaland. Good, mate. Good to hear. Maximilian. I remember Maximilian from Year 12 Lit. Alrighty. Probably Haaland is that the best card so far. The worst card so far is that gold to 350. That's some nonsense. I think that Steph Curry is interesting, to say the least. Oof. Stop it. It is absolutely like you have no idea how chilly it's been here. Just like chilly to your bones, you know? Alrighty, and a purple Kevin Trapp. I feel like I've been pretty heavy on goalkeepers today. Numbered to 250 this time. Danny Olmo. Not bad. Oh, mate. Seriously, I'm jealous. Alrighty. Christopher Trimmel. With a die cut behind that. Or as Paris would like to say, half a card. Of Jan Summer. Have you been to the monkey temples or anything like that, man? Julian Green. Alright, this one, I feel like it's got something extra in it. Nice. Did you like wash them or ride them or anything like that? Or is that all like a big no-no these days? Alrighty, Timothy Tillman on the blue rookie. Alright, we got 3 parallels in this pack. Xavier Schliegler. And then 2 Julian Greens. Oh no, sorry, I was going to say. Yeah, nice. They're funny, like, animals, aren't they? That's numbered to 150, that rookie. That feels very, 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 very tight. Like, ridiculous. I'm just going to chuck it into that for the time being. I had a monkey ride. I had an elephant ride one time and it like ran out of control. And the keeper had to like put its fingers in its eyes to like slow it down. I think something scared it or something. Steven Jovetic. I was hanging on like a mofo, honestly. Alrighty, I reckon this has to be the autograph, right? Raimi. Oh man, that's bad. Never heard of that guy. Vincenzo Griffo. Alrighty. Number to 250. Number to 99. Not sure if you can see that, but it's got like Topps writing into the hologram. I feel like these cards are more than 30-point cards. Like it feels super tight in the top loader. They're like, I don't know, 30 or 40 point or something. Yeah, awesome, man. That'd be good. See you, mate. Bye-bye. All right. All right, that's the end of that. That is done. Just going to reset. I've got an absolute heap of packs because what they did today... They put up a exchange. So you can exchange like 88 Testing, testing. Hang on a second. Maybe it was working. All right, testing. Okay, that looks better. All right, so hopefully that will start to work again. So look, I'm not too sure when that started and stopped working, to be honest with you guys. I'm sorry about that. But basically, how this game works is you play the game, so you like it's a soccer game. But the basis of it is that you use these cards and you earn these cards and you do particular objectives to get packs. And then with the packs, you open up the packs, you get the cards, and they feed into your team. However, after a while, once you get better cards, like for example, that 91 Haaland at the start of the game, that would have been like, I would be doing cartwheels normally, but because we're a few months into the game, like he won't even make my bench at all. And so, um, yeah, at the moment, what they've got this thing is it's called like a exchange. So if you 85s, 86s, 87s, 88s, 89s, they can all be put into the exchange, and then you can open up these packs. 83s go in and get you team of the weeks. 84s I've just been using for team of the weeks too. All right. No, so it wasn't working. That's totally fine. So basically, these are just a whole bunch of packs that you then get from that. The best card I've had so far was probably that Haaland. I got the 94. It's called Shapeshifter. That's the current promotion. If I get a couple more, I think I need one or two more 90s. If I do that, I'll do that packet. I'll I'll do the objective really quickly because watching one of those packets get opened is actually like it's quite good. Whether I get an 83 or an 84, it's a bit like beyond the point, really. I've got a bit of a funny one though. Like, I'll show you my squad. I'm not very good at this game, by the way. I just really enjoy it. Just mixes my week up a little bit. So this guy here, I'm just mucking around with him a little bit. But I've got a 97 Tar. It's ironic though, like he's numbers wise, he's the best player on my team. Like he's technically better than Shaw. He's technically better than Ozyman. I mean, ironically, he's better than Pele, and he's better than Ronaldo too. But like numbers wise, but I don't know. I find him like really ineffective. This is probably my favorite center backman that I've got. I'm just mucking around with these two at the moment, just changing my lineups up a little bit. But actually, I wouldn't mind to post online and just ask for people's advice how to use that guy properly because I feel like that Tar guy is good. I just don't know what to do with him. or I don't know how to use him properly is probably like the right way of saying it. Alrighty, that's a good one. 88. Son is probably my favorite player to use in this game. He's just like freakishly good and just very annoying to play against because of this stuff he just seems to like just pull out and just do almost like magic or something. All right, just 3 more of these packs or picks, I probably should call them, shouldn't I? And then I've got a couple of packs to open. If we just get like 1 or 2 more, I think 90s I need, and I'll show you that. So if we get one of those packs, they were really good today. I don't think I had one of those that didn't have a promo card in it. Alrighty. Then we're going to finish off. Just something sort of short and sweet, just a bit of fun, just to keep the content coming a little bit while ads away. And then I need to edit up the interview that I did with Comron, which is awesome. I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. So basically, these are all just of the 80. I had a heap of 83s, so I traded in all the 83s and the 84s and got these team of the week picks. And then the idea is then you can say, so just say you get 85s and 86, then you can put that back into the exchange and keep rolling them around. But at some point, it sort of diminishes off and it goes down to 0. But obviously by that time, hopefully you've pulled a few promo cards. So like you've pulled a few 94s, maybe a 95, 96. If you're very lucky, you might get a 97. I've got an absolutely insane amount of these. I just put some music on. I don't reckon the mic will pick it up, so it should be okay. I've been listening to a bit of Malevolence lately. Probably the mic will pick that up. Yeah, so this is the exchange part where you then take all those cards and then roll them back in. So ideally that will be like an 89 or a 90. That's what I want. I think I went pretty crazy on this today because it's day one of the exchange. But geez, I tell you what, I don't think I'll be doing this 2 days in a row. Alrighty, we're just about through all these packs now. I'd probably say at the moment I'm watching like equal parts NBA content and FC 25. Pretty interesting. Like I like to approach the hobby from a more positive perspective, but I've really noticed influences in NBA and FC 25. One of the things that to me is the similar thread is their perspective and how they approach the hobby. And it's like incredibly um, can be incredibly negative. And that seems to be something that does well, gets people's attention, um, whichever way you want to say it. And I find that type of content a little bit frustrating at times. Like my favorite guy is called Nep, and some days the stuff that has negative headlines in, I'll like watch it for a couple of minutes, maybe fast forward to the bit. Got that guy already. Fast forward to the bit that I want to see, or like rewind it back to the bit that I want to see. Oh, I had two walkouts in that pack. And then I'll just skip through the rest because I just don't want to listen to someone whinging for half an hour. Um, like simple as that. But it's the type of content people want, right? All right, I will see what we can do here. If we can do an 89 or an 88 or an 87. What is this? 89. So we cannot. And also, I don't want to give away that card because she's in my Aussie team. But I reckon I can do an 88. I can do an 87. So that's kind of cool. I'll show you an 88 and I'll show you an 87. And then we'll kill this. So if you can keep your team of weeks, you always keep them. Like, get rid of your golds. But at the same time, they're like we're sort of in an exchange at the moment. And this only goes for 2 days. So what Nep was saying is like, do this, go hard. All right, that's an 87. I'll show you an 86. I won't bore you too much. 86. All right, we got heaps of 86s. So I could probably do one more after I end the feed. '86, '86, '86. So 3 '86s, 4 '86s. So that's enough to do another 86. So see how like the exchange ideally. All right, so now my SBC is full. So this is a bit of a problem. So what happens now is you can't like use those cards. So what I'll do is probably the quickest way is to do a couple of craftings. You just go low to high, squad building, storage bin, sorry. So it's a bit of a faff sometimes. Also, I'm just trying to show you quickly without boring you too much. I'm still live. Up in 2 minutes. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. All right, so that should let us claim these cards. Yep. And then we can open these last two packs. 82 times 20 and 81 times 20. There we go. 95. So probably what I should start to look at doing now is do like some, because I feel like I've got a fair few sort of bigger cards out of this. Put them into like doing the Modric, something like that. I think, no, it's going to fill me up entirely. All right, so I'll leave it there. So then what I could look at doing is like doing this Kevin De Bruyne. That's a lot of fodder though, isn't it? That's a lot. Maybe this guy. I reckon Modric would actually suit my playstyle quite well. I definitely don't need strikers. I'm so full like with strikers. And this left back guy, I had a look at him. He doesn't look that good. Again, I don't need a striker. I've got like 4 really good strikers. Cam maybe I could use, but that's a lot. 17 squads is insane. Anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to end this now. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it somewhat. And yeah, Comron episode will be out on Sunday. Wednesday, tomorrow, I will have out the not timeless moment. And then the week after that, ads will be back. Alrighty, guys.